Oh, that tells me we're live again. Morning, I hope you're well. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to wait until LinkedIn gives me a notification to tell me that I'm live, and then I'll bring Barry Clark on screen as well. I'm going to be live this morning with Barry Clark, who's a sales expert, a hospitality expert, a sales expert for 2022, and a mate of mine as well. There we go. There's the notification for LinkedIn, which has popped up there to let me know that I'm live. Going to bring Barry on in a minute. If you've got any questions about sales, whether you are a small business owner, whether you're someone who works in a big business, whoever you are, if you've got any questions about sales, pop them in the comments below and we'll get Barry to answer them. If you just want to say hello, pop that in the comments below as well. Just before I bring Barry on, I'm just going to do my thing where I drag in the comments so that we can bring them up on screen. If I'm looking down, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's just because I'm doing the stuff which makes all of this work. I've filled time. I'm going to bring Barry on. Good morning, Barry. Fresh back from speaking in Belfast, I understand.
Indeed, yes, that was last Wednesday at the social media and marketing show in Belfast with our mutual friend at #events, and thanks, Stefan. Good to be with you this morning. Thanks for the opportunity to have a chat with you out to your audience.
It looked like a really good show, and someone who I'm sure is known to you as well as me, the wonderful Sharon Ritchie, is already saying hello to us this morning, which is great because I'm never completely convinced that anyone's watching until I see people start to comment. So thanks, Sharon. You've reassured me that the tech is working. Hello, Barry too. And then the wonderful Adam Redshaw. Hello, Adam. I hope you're well. Is saying hello. So we know we've got people watching. What were you talking about at the Belfast show? Let's start with that. What sort of thing were you bringing up at the Belfast show, Barry?
So Belfast show, I was having conversations with people about selling, engaging with the right customers. Finding the people that they really want to have sales conversations with. My keynote, my presentation in particular, was around negotiating skills. One of the topics that a lot of people approach me and ask me questions about. Probably one of the most frequently asked questions I receive is from small and medium-sized business owners who feel perpetually pressured into having to discount, having to be on the receiving end of a negotiation. And a lot of people ask me for advice as to how they can protect their price point, how they can protect their profit margin. And you know what? I think it's daunting for a lot of people when you're not used to being in that position. But like most things, if you have a process, if you have a system that you can work through, it doesn't need to be as scary and as daunting as it can first appear.
I'm just going to say a couple of quick good mornings. I've popped them up on screen, but the very wonderful Stacey from O'Kenner, it's lovely to see you. We're overdue a catch up, aren't we? I'll get on with that, Stacey, and the ever wonderful Dave Heffernan, the Hef as well. Thanks for joining us this morning. I got talking about this with some estate agents the other day, Barry, on LinkedIn, where there can be this perpetual race to the bottom where people feel that the way to sell is to be cheaper than everyone else in the same market. And I guess from what you've just said about your presentation at Belfast, that you feel rather differently about that it doesn't need to be a race to the bottom all the time.
I have a somewhat different opinion on that one. And you know what, this might sound harsh, but if in your business you want to compete as the cheapest in the marketplace, well, guess what? You will attract to you customers who want to pay the cheapest price. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. I see a lot of people who find themselves locked into this fight to the bottom, as you described it, always trying to undercut the competition to be the cheapest in the marketplace. Now, I don't know about you, I am reminded in life in general, apart from my professional work, life in general, whenever I tend to opt for the cheapest option, whether that, well, I had a not very good experience recently with a garage. My car's MOT and service was due, And you know what? Shopped around, went for somebody that gave me a very attractive price for getting my MOT and service done together. And I won't bore you with the details, but it was a disaster, absolute disaster. And more importantly, the customer service that I received was atrocious. So cheapest isn't always best, especially if you don't actually get the product or the service at the end of the day you're looking for. Now I had to very quickly, my car needed MOT'd within the next 2 or 3 days, and the original one that I booked with really let me down. Somehow I managed to find another branded garage that you'd be familiar with, blue and yellow signage, um, and they managed to fit me in on the same day. Somehow, I do not know. Now, because it was the same day, I had to pay a premium price for it. I wasn't particularly bothered about that because I needed my car MOT'd and I needed my car. I had a work journey to do on the Monday following. I wasn't bothered about paying the premium price. And here's the thing: from the second I walked into that branch of QuickFit, it was like a breath of fresh air. Lovely, sincere, genuine, warm welcome. The guy who was going to MOT my car was ready and waiting for me. He knew I was coming in. We had a chat. What blew me away, I was asked the question, "Oh, is there anything that I should look at?" And I mentioned something. I thought my brakes were probably due changing, and after about 5 minutes, he waved me over and came into the waiting room for me. Let me just show you something. And I thought, here we go. Here's another 100 quid for brake pads or something. And he took me out to the car and he says, "I just want to show you your brakes. You said you think they're ready for servicing." I said, "Your brakes are brand new." He said, "They don't need touched at all. They're absolutely brand new. I just wanted to show you. But if you're getting a bit of a vibration, it might be this because I've noticed something, but I fixed it for you." Now, you know what? That was worth the extra £20 that I had to pay for a on the day last minute service. I wasn't bothered in the slightest about having to pay a premium price because I got fantastic service. Now, what it's an interesting story in itself, but there's something behind that, which is so many people that I talk to, they get fixated, they get upset about competition within the marketplace. And here's the thing: there are very, very few unique businesses in the world. And if you can genuinely set up a unique business, your quid's in. I'll invest in you and have a share of it. We all have other people that do the same thing as us. So we all have competitors in the marketplace. But also, in a different sense, we don't have any competitors. There are many other business coaches, business advisors like me. There are plenty other sales trainers, sales coaches like me. But on a different level, we're all different because there is no other Barry Clark. Nobody else has my delivery style, my approach. So, in a sense, I do have a unique business, but it's me that's the unique factor about it. You could argue that, Amazon is really no different than going to Ryman's or WH Smith for stationery and such. But what differentiates all these businesses is the service level that you get. How personal is it or is it not? How efficient are they or how inefficient are they? And that's the real differentiator. So I'm a great believer of put the product to one side. How can you improve the service delivery? How can you make, even if it's a manufacturing process, you might manufacture wackets and widgets, but the way that you sell the wackets and widgets, the way that you deliver them to your customer, the way that you build a relationship with your customer, can make it an entirely different experience from your competitor. But B, it can also justify you putting 10, 12, 15% on the price because you've built a relationship, you really look after the customer, and you deliver exceptional value. So somebody asked me exactly that question in Belfast last week. They constantly feel pressure into pricing. And we had quite a long chat about, I'd really encourage you to change the way that you look at that and stop competing on price all the time. If you compete on price, you will attract customers who want to pay the bottom dollar. If you compete on service and quality, it's miraculous what happens. You find people who are actually quite happy to pay within reason. As long as you're charging a reasonable price, it's amazing what people will pay for that personal touch.
That ties in with a couple of the questions that we're being asked at the moment, some of which I'll bring up on screen. Charles is asking, this is not about that subject, Barry, but Charles is asking, will I make the YouTube link available for an after-party catch-up? Charles, if you did the recording will be uploaded to YouTube, and if you send me a message, then I'll remember to send you the link to the YouTube as soon as I upload it a little bit later on this afternoon. Sharon says that it's very much how you differentiate yourself and the service level. Now, Stacey from Okema. So Stacey works for a major chemical distributor. And Stacey's asking, do you agree that people buy from people, Barry?
The short answer to that, Stacey, is absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. People buy from people, and equally, people won't buy from people that they don't like, that they don't have any rapport with, that they don't have any kind of rapport with. And I'm immediately reminded of the perfect example of this. I mean, it's such a good example. I wrote about it in my first book, Selling Made Simple. And about 7 or 8 years ago, it would have been, I was in the market for buying a new car. As everybody does these days, I did all my research online. I knew what car I wanted. I knew what model, spec, mileage, etc. that I wanted. And I found a couple of them online within a reasonable travelling distance of where I lived. Went to the first dealership, gave them a phone, arranged an appointment to go and view the car. Turned up at the dealership, and the chap that I'd made an appointment with, he was busy with another customer when I arrived, which was fine. I was a bit late, so I wasn't at all upset about that. And his colleague dealt with me. And his colleague made no effort to build any kind of rapport with me. His colleague was, dare I say, he struck me immediately as the typical old-fashioned second-hand car salesman. He was even wearing a shiny suit. He was that kind of overbearing, a bit pushy, a bit predatory. I just want your money. I want the sale. A bit kind of smarmy, if I can say that. And the reality is, I liked the car. I wanted the car. There is absolutely no way I would have bought the car from the first salesman. Fortunately, he went away with his own customer. The chap that I'd made an appointment with and I'd had a phone call with, he came over. Totally different character. He made the conversation all about me. What was I looking for? What was I going to use the car for? It was an Audi I was looking at. So he was, oh, isn't it lovely? Isn't it? You're really comfy. You do long journeys. He was making the conversation all about me, and we struck up rapport fairly quickly. And guess what? I bought the car because I was dealing with him. There is absolutely no way I would have bought the car from the first person. I would have gone elsewhere. And I had another one about half an hour up the road, same model, same age, same spec, and I was all ready to go and have a look at that one. So absolutely, people buy from people.
I think it's interesting what you've said on both counts, in as much as the service garage for your car, you didn't mind paying the premium because they were offering the service that you needed to get the car ready in time for when you needed it. And then when it came to buying the car, you could have bought the same car from a couple of different places, but you definitely wouldn't have bought it from the first guy. You've used a word that you've used in several of your posts on LinkedIn recently. You just used the word predatory, and I've spotted you talking about predatory salespeople. And I think this will be interesting to Stacey and the other people who are watching as well. What do you mean when you say predatory salespeople? How can people avoid being that person as well?
Absolutely. It's a topic I've got quite interested in recently. And Stephen, you and I will recall, you helped me come up with a marketing tagline a while ago of everybody I talk to tells me they want to win more sales, but they worry about being that pushy, overbearing salesperson. And all credit to you, because that's been a really successful intro tagline for me to use. It resonates with people and it gets a reaction from people. And in the old face-to-face networking world, it worked really well for me because the people who would react, guess what? That's who I went and had a conversation with, because obviously there was some resonance there. Now, recently I heard somebody using this word predator, and it got me thinking about the sales world. Now, in the natural history world, when we talk about predators, we think of things like eagles, lions, tigers, those kind of top of the food chain. They feed on other people. They stalk their prey and then strike when they think the moment is right. And they're very motivated by the outcome, by the end result. Now, when we when we use that description, how many times have you encountered somebody displaying those kind of behaviors and that kind of attitude in the business world? Now, how many times have you had a sales rep sat in front of you who is, kind of stalking you, bombarding you, hitting you with these hard sales messages, and they just want the sale. They just want your signature on the purchase order or on the contract. And it struck me when I heard that word. That is actually, the predatory salesperson. It's what so many people tell me that they worry about being perceived as, is that pushy, overbearing, I just want the sale kind of person. And here's the thing, it doesn't have to be that way. Really does not have to be that way. And I, for the last few years, I've written books on the topic. It's what I talk about openly at events and expos and such. The alternative is what I call the consultative sales approach, making it all about the person, the other person, the potential customer, building some genuine rapport, showing some genuine interest in the other person. And a question I'm often asked, how do you turn the chat into a business conversation, into a sales conversation? By showing genuine interest in the other person. How's your business doing? How's things going this year? What's going well for you? By contrast, what's proving a bit tricky for you at the moment? And with those kind of, those 2 or 3 questions, it is amazing what people will tell me, because I'm showing interest in them. I'm not doing all the talking. I'm not stalking them and preying them like a predator. I'm putting them in a place of comfort. I'm showing interest in them, what's happening in their business. And lo and behold, they start telling me about the problems that they're having, the challenges that they're facing. 2022, demand is high, then it drops within a few days, within a few weeks. We don't know what's going on with the economy. We don't feel as though we're having as many sales conversations as we should. We're really struggling to turn the conversation into a sales presentation or into a discussion about doing business. Be the consultative seller, make it all about the other person, and seek to find ways to help them to overcome their problems, rather than being this predator, pushy, overbearing salesman of, I just want the sale. And funnily
Barry,
enough, that was the shiny suited car salesman that I was dealing with a few years ago.
Barry just mentioned his books, which it's remiss of me not to have mentioned. So I'm just going to put this up on screen really quickly, as well as being a sales expert. And as you can see, someone who can really talk about sales in a way that we can understand. Barry also writes about it. So there's Barry's book, Winning More Sales, with a foreword from me, actually. Barry has also written Selling Made Simple as well, which I will just bring up on the screen. That's also Barry's book there. Go and grab those on Amazon. Barry's books are available there. Is there anywhere else people can grab your books, Barry? Can people get signed copies or anything like that?
There is indeed, Steph. If they order directly from myself, you can have a signed copy, any particular dedication that you want in there. And within the UK, include free shipping within the UK if people order through my website, through any of the social links. So you'll find a link on my LinkedIn page, that'll take you through to be able to order the books. Anyone that's watching this elsewhere in the world, happy to ship books for you worldwide. Worldwide shipping does come at a little cost, I'm afraid.
There is Barry's LinkedIn profile. If you're not connected with Barry already, I strongly recommend that you do. Go and find him on LinkedIn, connect with him over there. If you've got any questions, I don't know why I'm gesticulating because no one can see me at the moment. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below. If you've got any questions about sales, I know I've got one, but if you've got some others, I'm just going to bring up Sharon's comment, which we won't get all of. But Sharon had a similar experience when she went to get her mobility car and the salesperson completely ignored her and spoke to her husband. Sharon was raging. I can sort of believe that, Sharon. I'll find it for you, Sharon. There is a great tweet or Instagram somewhere about a woman who allows car salespeople and garage people to talk to her husband over her. She bides her time before explaining them that she's chief mechanic for one of the Formula One teams. I'll find that tweet for you. How do we, Barry, how do we create the difference? Because I talk about spotting buying signals and acting on them, which now I'm starting to worry, is that a bit predatory? I like to think that it, well, of course I like to think that it isn't. How do we make the difference between actively looking for buying signals in the people who should be buying from us and coming across as too predatory?
No, it's a really good question, Steph, and it is something that people struggle with. Buying signals. What are we talking about here? Well, buying signals, you can spot those in a couple of different ways. There will be the very obvious, the blatant buying signals. Somebody just is asking you really positive questions. How can I do this? How can I do that? When can you deliver this? Is there a waiting time? Those are all positive buying signals. If somebody's already thinking about, can you deliver it 2 weeks on Tuesday because I'm off work, they're already thinking about using the product. They're thinking about having it delivered. The logical next step from that is to just move the conversation to, let's have a look at the delivery schedules. Let's have a look at color options or payment plans for you. That customer is asking you to move the conversation along. And you know what? I've seen instances where people lose sales because they don't act positively when they receive a positive buying signal. Now, you can also get non-verbal positive buying signals. Things like, now you started your career in the shoe industry, in shoe retailing.
Well remembered.
Now, if somebody tries a pair of shoes on, and they're kind of, they're walking around the shop, they're checking the mirror, they're am I comfy in these? Do I like these? Do they match with the outfit that I'm wanting to go with? Those are all non-verbal buying signals. Somebody tries a pair of shoes on and immediately takes them off. That's a negative buying signal. Something's not right. Now, so equally, the person is standing there, they've had the shoes on for a couple of minutes, they're kind of asking their friend, asking their partner, what do you think? Again, they're looking for you just to now move the conversation gently on to the next level of how they make the purchase. And we need to do that because it's amazing how many customers will not take the initiative of saying, right, yes, I want to buy. They need us as the retailer, as the salesperson, they need us just to gently move the conversation on. It's incredible, but I think it's a British thing. Slightly more so than maybe some other cultures. I think it is a British thing that, we kind of want the salesperson, we want the retailer, the shopkeeper to take the lead. Equally, there's that other side of the negative buying signals. The person that takes the shoes off immediately and maybe, puts them to one side. Something's wrong. They're not happy. They're needing some help. They're needing some assistance. And it's important there that we intervene, but in a different way. We intervene to help them overcome the challenge, the problem that they've got. And this is what we call objections, customer objections. Now, a lot of people that I speak to and I work with, they try and shy away from addressing customer objections. They don't want the customer to say no. They don't want the customer to raise problems or challenges. But here's the thing, we need to actively encourage our customers to share their objections with us. That person who kind of dismissively takes the shoes off really quickly, we need to, are they not quite right for you? But was the fit not right for you? It's asking the questions, it's being non-judgmental and just encouraging them to share with us what's the problem here. It's like the guy with the car, the guy with the Audi a few years ago. If he'd been up to speed with his sales skills, instead of being the predator and just trying to push me into a transaction, he might not have liked the answer to the question, because if he'd asked me why I wasn't keen on the purchase, I probably would have said to him, well, I'm not keen on you, actually. So he might not have liked the answer to that question. But in that environment, if we're trust your instinct, if you're sensing that the customer's not happy, that they're not comfortable, we need to intervene and we need to keep the conversation going. Because that customer will never buy from you until you overcome and address the problem. Now, it might be as simple as, that customer just wants some reassurance. They might just want some additional information about, the quality of the shoe, the quality of the product that you're selling. Is it right for what they're looking for? Anybody that knows me knows that I have a dog. When I'm out walking the dog, I want some waterproof, sturdy shoes for when he drags me off path onto the wet grass and into the mud. I don't want something that's flimsy and it's not waterproof and it's not washable. Now, it might just be I try the shoe on and I think, I don't think this is quite what I'm looking for. It's not. I don't see a Gore-Tex or anything, any badge on it to say it's waterproof. There's the perfect opportunity for the salesperson just to step in. Are those not quite right for you? Can you help me understand what is it specifically you're looking for so that I can help and make a recommendation? That could be the perfect opportunity for you to step in and say, I'm looking for something that's waterproof. Okay, these ones aren't a Gore-Tex brand, but they are waterproof. Or equally, it might be, I don't think this is quite the shoe you're looking for. Let me show you this. This might be more to your needs. So the key to all of that is keeping the conversation going and moving it on to the next level. Now, how do we do that in a non-pushy way? It's so many people that I speak to and work with, they get fixated on the final outcome, the final destination, making the sale. And what I always encourage people to do is actually work through the sales process step by step. And one of the key reasons that many people struggle to convert an inquiry into a sale is that they try and jump from A to T. They try and miss out the middle stages because it's a bit like hard work. It's, needs a bit of effort. But here's the thing, your path through the sales process is from step A to step B to step C to step D. And strangely enough, when you do it that way, you get to the end result that you want because you've dealt with all the challenges and the difficulties on the way.
There's an awful lot in there that I need to ask about. I think before I start, what I'm going to say is that if anyone who's watching, and we've got a number of people watching, have got any questions which you want to ask, pop them in the comments below. Make sure that you connect with Barry as well. If you're watching this and enjoying what Barry's got to say, there's his LinkedIn profile up there. But pop your questions in the comments below and we'll get them answered. I'm just going to throw something else in, which is really, really important about objections as well. A little bit more my world than yours, Barry. One of the other reasons for getting objections out there is that several of the people who are watching this will be constantly trying to come up with content to put on their blog, on their YouTube channel, on their podcast, on their LinkedIn, etc. Objections make great content. Those reassurances that if several people ask you about them, then the world is asking the same question, and that can create great content as well. So if you're hearing objections from your customers, don't just answer that customer. Write something down, record a video, talk about that objection up front. You'll help a lot of people, and your honesty will help people warm to you as well. I've done similarly in the past. You talked about, Barry, going through the sales process because it interests me. All of us, everyone on here is on LinkedIn, of course. I get emails, LinkedIn messages trying to sell me something before anyone's checked whether I might need it or want to buy it. It's just like, me being invited to like the Facebook page of a butcher in Birmingham. I'm vegetarian and I live in Oxford. Someone, for example, the many messages we get every day, someone trying to sell me a website without first having any conversation about why I might think that I need a website. Is that what you're talking about when you go through the steps? And I'll add a little bit more to that. If someone asks me a question about one of the things that I do, I tend to ask them, what are you hoping to get out of it? And encourage them to open up about what they're hoping to get so that I can tailor my answer and make sure we're talking about something that will actually be beneficial to them. Is that the sort of steps that you're talking about as people get into conversation?
Broadly speaking, it is, Steph. It is. And it's giving people a structure, a process for them to follow. And it's without sounding arrogant, it's quite remarkable the results that I can have with people when I introduce them to a structured sales process rather than this predatory gunshot approach that you've just described there. It's a fairly common conversation for me that people will say, "Oh, LinkedIn lets me send 100 emails out per day, so I send 100 messages out, and if I get one or two responding, oh well, that's a good result for me. I've got a couple of new leads from my 100 emails." Well, what does that actually say about you? What does it say about you as a business and the way that you want to conduct business if that is your method of generating sales leads? What if you actually put a little bit of effort in? And here's the thing. So let's expand on your example there of a website developer. If somehow you've fallen into my awareness, and I'm thinking, great, I'm going to sell a website to Stephen Thomas. He's got a business called the Networking Retreat. He must need a website. It would take me about 30 seconds on social media to find out you've already got a website. It would take me about 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds maximum. So sending you a shotgun approach, this kind of scattergun, I do brilliant websites, you must want my website, Stefan, give me a call. I don't know about you, I get those kind of messages on a daily basis as well, and it actually irritates me. It irritates me when I receive those because it just says to me that the business that I'm receiving that message from couldn't be bothered making the most simple research about me as a business owner. They've not spent even 2 minutes finding out what I do, what the scale of my business is, who that I work with. Equally, if they did that to me, they'd find out I'm all over social media, I've got a website. So having that, you need a website, we'll build you a fantastic website. It's not going to work with me. And it actually it actually turns me off. And I absolutely detest what seems to be the current trend in some quarters of connect and then immediately DM me with a spammy sales message. It makes me think of childhood, the knock and run go, ringing people's doorbells and then running down the street. It just reminds me of that. Somebody somewhere in the world is teaching that as a method, and I would love to know who it is. I would love to meet them and maybe give me 5 minutes in a dark room with them to show an alternative path. We've got all the tools, we've got better tools around us than we've ever had before in life that you can actually profile and research your ideal customer. If you really understand who are the people that benefit most from the product or service that you deliver, if you really understand the good clients that you've already worked with, the people that you've really helped and you've been able to transform their business, their performance, their networking abilities. So you know the customers that really benefit from your services. So go and look for more of them. Go and find more people that are very similar to that customer you've already worked with. In today's world, it's not difficult. We're using LinkedIn as a platform here today. The free version of LinkedIn is a fantastic prospecting tool. You can, even without investing in the premium services, there's so much that you can do quickly and easily to find people by location, by type of business, by who they work for, by what job they do. And that allows you to then focus in. Who are the people that I really want to talk to? Because they're the people that I can genuinely help. They're the people who are having the problems that I am able to fix. It's no coincidence that pre-pandemic, I used to invest quite a lot of time and effort going to networking events, face-to-face networking events, where I was in front of owner-managed business owners, small and medium-sized businesses. The kind of 1 to 5 employees, realistically probably below 100,000 turnover at that time. Because when I used everybody tells me they want to win more sales, but they worry about being the pushy, overbearing salesperson, they reacted because they were having exactly those problems. So it's no coincidence that that's why I invested time and effort going to those meetings, because my customers were there in front of me. So it is all about making it all about your customer. It's all about not fixating on the end result of winning a sale, but actually, okay, can I find the people who are having the problem that I can fix? Because I can then genuinely help them. I can help them to achieve a transformation within their business. And guess what? They're going to be happy to pay me for doing that because I'm going to help them to fix a problem which is probably causing sleepless nights, anxiety, stress. They're worrying about the performance of their business. So, in my case, when people would approach me quietly and say, you know what, I've been reading your stuff, I've been listening to your stuff at these networking events, and maybe we should have a chat. I think I'm doing all the right things in my business, but I'm just not getting the results that I'm expecting. That's the perfect trigger words for me because I know that I can help those people. I've been helping grow businesses for 30 years. So I'm pretty confident that whatever the challenge they're having, I'm going to be able to help them. But then, what I don't do is jump in with an elevator style pitch. You and I share very similar opinions on the elevator pitch. Just don't do it. Have a conversation. Okay, so you don't feel that you're getting the results from your business that you want to be achieving. Tell me more about that. Help me understand, what is it you want to be achieving? What do you want to be getting out of your business? Okay, so you've told me what you want to be achieving. Help me understand, where are you at right now? What's not happening? What's the pain that you're feeling? Okay, so you're getting lots of inquiries, but you're not converting them into paying customers. What impact's that having on you? And the answers usually are stress, anxiety, cash flow problems, and those are all areas that I know I can help people with. Somebody comes to me and says, I've got well, I had a prime example recently where someone approached me and asked, they'd parted company with a coach that they'd previously been working on, and they were really, really keen for me to take them on as a coaching client. So we sat down, we had coffee, we had quite an in-depth conversation. And what I was able to clarify was that person wasn't looking for business growth coaching. They weren't looking for me to mentor them to help them grow their business at this point in time. What they were really looking for was mindset and accountability coaching. Now, that's not me.
No.
I could have done it. I could have said yes, but I wouldn't have been, I know other people who would be able to help them with that far better than I can. So I referred them on to someone else. It would have been quite easy for me to say, yeah, okay, come on board, I'll take your money. It wouldn't have worked out. I wouldn't have been satisfied. They wouldn't have been satisfied. So it's about knowing what is it the other person needs. Not necessarily what they want, but what they actually need. What's the help they need? And are you the best placed person to deliver that help? And if you are, then just move the conversation on into how you can help them, how you're going to change the outcomes, and then what that's going to look like.
And what I think saddens me is that you can do so much of that by genuinely building relationships,
Oh, yeah.
to the extent that when I came to you shortly before Christmas time and said, Barry, I've got this new service, and because I know you so
Yeah.
well, I believe it would be beneficial for us to have a chat about it. And as a result, we ended up doing business together. You
Yeah.
ended up joining, and so on. On the other hand, where I've seen it go wrong, and you talking put me in mind of this. Someone approached me years ago, phoned me, and said words to the effect of, other people in similar businesses to you, other people who do what you do, have found this really beneficial. And I guess I can be a bit of an asshole sometimes. So I said, okay, Steve, what is it that our business does? And you could hear his voice change, you could hear the panic, you could hear him furiously typing away on his laptop looking up our website. So it's networking that you do, isn't it? And I said, why lie? Why couldn't we have had the conversation where you said, tell me a little bit about what you do, rather than pitching in with this ridiculous pitch? We all need to ditch the elevator pitch, with this ridiculous pitch, which was based on a complete falsehood that you'd done some research. I think it's doing it genuinely, being genuinely interested in what the other person needs is really, really different to pretending to be interested in what they need.
I think it's summed up by One of my existing clients, who, well, you and I did some work together. We've become good friends, and this client is quickly becoming a good friend of mine, and we've built rapport. I trust his judgment. He now trusts my judgment, and he quite often says to me, the trouble with consultants is there's too many people out in the world who will take the watch off your wrist and then charge you to tell you what the time is. And I think that's a brilliant analogy. And thankfully, he very quickly then follows it up and says, but you're not one of them. And you've genuinely helped me to make change in my business. And I think that's the thing. I've helped him to implement change in his business. I've not gone in like a bull in a china shop and made the changes, or forced change upon them. I've worked with him, I've coached him through scenarios, I've mentored him in situations where that's more appropriate. And let's bear in mind, coaching and mentoring, two words that are often mashed together, but they're actually quite different skills. And he now happily turns around and, well, not only says it to me, but he's very kindly said it to other people. This guy won't steal the watch off your wrist and then bill you £1,000 to tell you what the time is. So we kind of get a hard knock in that respect, but it's got to be about what we can help the client to achieve. What's the change? Can we help them to overcome the problem that they've got and fix the change? If you're working in retail, it's a little bit different. There's some different drivers with retail sales. Emotions get in the way, ego, health and wealth and such. But in business to business sales, there's two reasons why people buy from you in a B2B environment. They need your commodity as their raw material. So if they're a manufacturer, they need what you sell for them to do their process or whatever. That's one reason. On the second reason, they've got a problem and you have the solution to it. You can help them to do their work more quickly, more efficiently, with better profit margin, or help them to fix a problem. And in the B2B world, that basically is it. Those are the two reasons that people will buy from you in the B2B world. Our challenge is just to find out what is the problem and how can we fix it. And if we can't fix it, be honest and open about it.
And refer them to someone who can fix it, which is one of the other benefits of building a network. I'm going to bring this up on screen because we predicted this before we went live, Barry, but we're sort of coming up to the end of where I reckon we'll keep everyone's attention. I know people have enjoyed it because Tim has joined in from Brisbane and is loving this, and it's good to see so many other people that have been engaging with us this afternoon. If people want to connect with you after this conversation, Barry, where should they find you? I've put your LinkedIn up on screen, but where else would you like people to connect with you?
You've got my LinkedIn right up there. From my LinkedIn, you'll find a link to my my landing page on social media. It'll take you to my Facebook, to my website, to my Instagram and such. If you're here watching this on LinkedIn, connect with me, Barry Clark MIH there. There's a few Barry Clarks on LinkedIn, so I use Barry Clark MIH. I'm a member of the Institute of Hospitality, which is what the MIH stands for. So you'll be able to find me quite easily. There's not any other Barry Clark MIH is on there. And let's just start a conversation. It would be great to connect with you. If you want to just have a chat about sales and business, I'm always happy to do that. If you've got a challenge, a frustration in your business, let's have a chat about that. And you know what? If I'm able to help, we can follow the conversation on. It might just be that I give you a bit of a worldly advice and maybe refer you to someone else. If you just want to, if you've enjoyed what I've been talking about and you just want to read more of it, you'll find a ton of stuff that I put on LinkedIn with sales and business growth advice.
Go and find Barry on LinkedIn. Barry, thank you for spending so much of your time with me this morning. I always enjoy talking to you, and that's a tiny bit of a danger when I know we've both got other appointments, and I'm sure some of the other people on here have got other appointments as well. Am I going to see you at the Stoke Business Show? I can't remember whether you're there. Am I seeing you at that show?
I won't see you at Stoke. I've got something else in the diary that day, but you will see me at the Glasgow Expo, which is getting very close. It's only about 4 weeks away. And I'm also going to be speaking at Glasgow Expo. So you and I are going to be sharing a stage.
I will look forward to that. You go and find Barry on LinkedIn. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to take Barry off. Thank you so much for your time. Go and connect with
My
Barry.
pleasure.
You can see him speaking at various business shows as well. And just so that you know, Barry, when I press this button, there's a good 30 seconds or so before we're off. I feel a bit like Davina. You're live on Channel 4. Please do not swear. You're live on LinkedIn. Folks, thank you for watching us. This is available on replay. If you've still got any questions, pop them in the comments. We'll answer afterwards, and it will be uploaded to YouTube a little bit later.